Reporting the news that matters to you. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, your number one radio station for news and talk.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Building. An arrest warrant has been issued for a 64-year-old Logan man, Byron Aslett, after he was allegedly seen having sex with a woman at Second Dam in Logan Canyon. The warrant was signed by 1st District Judge Brian Cannell Friday afternoon. Prosecutors with the Cache County Attorney's Office have also filed a criminal case against Aslett. They've charged him with one count of lewdness involving a child, a Class A misdemeanor, and 2 other counts of lewdness, both Class B misdemeanors. According to the arrest affidavit, on June 10th of this past year, a family contacted Cache County Sheriff's deputies complaining of a disturbing incident. The man and wife were at Second Dam with their young niece when they observed a man and woman engaged in oral sex. The suspects were reported to be in a black BMW. Deputies traced the car's license plate to a 2011 BMW sedan registered to Aslett. They contacted him on September 1st, but he refused to meet for an interview. Several more phone calls have reportedly been made by deputies to his phone with no answer or return call. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight. Mostly cloudy, haze through the night, patchy fog after midnight. Overnight low near 10. Partly cloudy Tuesday, patchy fog in the morning. Hazy conditions, high temperature in the lower 30s. We almost made it to 30 today. 28 was our high. It's 23 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. Are you expecting to purchase a lot of inventory direct from manufacturers at upcoming furniture market in Las Vegas? In anticipation, they have aggressive discounts during January clearance. It's just another reason you'll always find a better buy at U&I, 28 West, 100 North, downtown Logan.
A building is just a building until it's your building. It's where you work, where you create, and where you store your valuable equipment. You take pride in your building, so make sure it's built right and built to last. Northern Steel Buildings will guide you from concept to construction. For your commercial, agricultural, or industrial steel building, visit northernsteelbuilding.com to see their quality work, or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. The Wood Stove and Fireplace Conversion Assistance Program will open the registration for eligible Cache County homeowners as of today, and that will run through January 17th, next Monday evening at 6 p.m. The financial incentives will help households convert their fireplace or wood stove into a natural gas, propane-fueled, or electric appliance. For homeowners with wood stoves or fireplaces, the program is an opportunity to help reduce wintertime pollution caused by wood burning. For the full eligibility requirements to see if you qualify, visit stoves.utah.gov. And a musher from Utah is competing in this year's Idaho Sled Dog Challenge. KUTV reports Rex Mumford from Huntsville is among 3 generations of his family registered for the 100-mile event. Organizers said that his son and granddaughter, both from Idaho, will also be competing. Mumford is not new to the sport, and he won the Eagle Cap Extremes 200-mile race in 2017. World-class mushers attend the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge, which is set to take place in the west central mountains of Idaho from January 30th to February 3rd during the 2022 McCall Winter Carnival. The race went on hiatus in 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and organizers said they are now celebrating the event's 4th year. KVNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Thermo Fisher Scientific, voted best place to work in northern Utah, is hiring. They're looking for manufacturing technicians, distribution, and warehouse positions across multiple shifts. Starting rate is $16 to $18.97 per hour, depending upon experience and shift. Incredible career opportunities are available. Help Thermo Fisher make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer. Visit jobs.thermofisher.com and search Logan. Thermo Fisher Scientific is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. Republicans have a new messaging campaign for the upcoming midterm elections about Democrats' approach to education during COVID. We'll explain it. Also, Americans adopted millions of dogs during the pandemic. What happens to them when we have to return to the office? And the growth of scams surrounding work-from-home jobs. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Hour 2 of today's show. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. Thanks again to Heidi Wengren for joining us. On short notice, she became the person after some scheduling changes, and our regular guests, our planned guests, had to postpone. But we will be speaking with representatives of Aggie Creamery on a somewhat regular basis throughout the year. They've got a lot planned, and 100 years is quite something for an ice cream shop, especially one with such a unique story tied to USU's research and education and more. And I mentioned it while we were talking with Heidi. I didn't want to take up too much of her time getting into it, but with the legislative session beginning 1 week from tomorrow, I wanted to just kind of explain this. A few listeners asked for more details on this competition I mentioned. Basically, it's an unspoken competition. No one comes around and says there's a competition, but every year, so Aggie Ice Cream is a staple on Capitol Hill every legislative session. In fact, there's Aggie Ice Cream Day that Senator Lyle Hilliard made a thing in his lengthy tenure, and that will continue, I'm told, by legislative staff. And basically what happened is there's a school to the south of us that's not the University of Utah, and they got jealous. And just, I guess, feeling petty, they complained. And I'm making all this up. I have no idea if this is how it happened. I think what it is lawmakers literally just wanted to be fair. And so they started inviting the BYU Creamery to bring their wares to Capitol Hill on a different day. And then this running joke started. Now, obviously, the two creameries aren't actually in any kind of a fight or competition, although wouldn't that be cool if it was true? The great the great creamery wars. No, they actually are very supportive of each other because they serve similar purposes at their respective institutions of higher ed. But journalists started making some jokes over the years about a preference. Because they also were able to, well, anyone at the Capitol on Aggie Ice Cream Day was able to get Aggie ice cream, several different flavors. Usually they're presented free to the public and lawmakers and journalists, anyone that walks by. And journalists started joking about a preference, about, they one day was a bigger deal to them than others. And so this running joke of this supposed creamery battle started to become a staple of every 45-day legislative session. So there you have it. That's the story that I joked about while Heidi was with us last hour. But again, no real competition. This is I've had ice cream from the BYU Creamery, and though it is not Aggie ice cream, it's not bad. I mean, it's not worth the drive, but if you happen to be down there in the area, I'm trying to start an ice cream war here. Can you tell, Bill? I want to get the creameries really going at it.
I just think you want people to bring you free ice cream or something. Out of the deal.
I would take it. I would. I can't exchange it due to the rules of radio and media. I can't exchange it for time on air, but I will gladly eat it. I will not say a word about
even
it.
In January.
You don't have to twist my arm. Yeah. It's funny when it comes to ice cream. Certain flavors are very good to me year round, but I actually don't crave ice cream in the hot weather. I'm weird like that. I know a lot of people do, but when it's hot outside, I don't crave sweet and sugary things at all. I tend to crave sour and citrus type flavors, and it's just me. But I don't eat a lot of ice cream when it's hot. Plus, it's really messy eating ice cream when it's
melts.
hot. Yeah,
melts fast.
Oh yeah. So I always Dippin' Dots at Lagoon in the summertime. Do they still have those? I think they do. And that's ice cream technically. But coming up this hour, we're going to be talking to Liz Young, who's founder and CEO of a company and app based out of New York City. She's staying up late to talk to us today. It's called Realm. And I got reading about this online today. I subscribe to the news feed of an online nerd magazine, basically called TechCrunch. And it's just a way to stay up on new things. And this was one of their features today, was this company called Realm. And I was curious, so I just started playing around with it. And what I realized is this is actually pretty amazing. And like a lot of things in the startup world, it's not inventing anything new. What it's doing, this Realm service, is taking available data that anyone has access to, and through one simple service and app, making it accessible to any individual that uses it. And that includes everything from, the goal of the Realm service is to save you money and time when it comes to home improvement, home repair. And give you an example, one of the things it's doing right now is if you enter, you go ahead and put some information about your home and some projects you're thinking about. And if you say something like you're planning to build a deck, one of the things that the Realm service will tell you is maybe put a pin in that for a few months, if not a year, because lumber prices are so high. And then it suggests some other projects that maybe you could get underway instead because the price of supplies or things like that are pretty low right now. It's the coolest idea, and it's such a simple idea. It's like many things, one of those things you read about and think, why didn't someone think of this before? But the way this company came to exist is an interesting story in and of itself, I found out today. So founder and CEO of Realm, Liz Young, will be joining us later on this hour, and we'll talk a little bit about why she started this company and why she wants to help homeowners out in this way. It's a cool story, so stay tuned for that. The legislature caused some waves over the weekend. We'll talk about it and invite phone calls on this, because if what is at least hinted at in a single question on a legislative survey sent out by House Republicans over the weekend to registered Republicans is an indicator of bills being considered, we might all have been wrong about what the most controversial bills of the year were going to be. It was a survey asking if, again, sent out to registered Republicans, a survey asking a lot of different questions about different priorities, what was important to you, do you support this, that. There was a question, for example, about ending the death penalty. There was a question about funding for roads and public transportation. Then this question. The question was basically, do you support the state getting involved with city housing and zoning laws and ordinances in order to deal with Utah's ongoing housing crisis? And that sounds pretty innocuous, right? Because the state is already involved. The state has a lot of rules and regulations that cities must comply with. The state even at times has gotten involved in defining certain categories of zoning on a statewide level. That type of consistency in central planning is kind of important in a lot of ways. But for the most part, they've left it up to cities to decide what gets zoned as what and when and why. The question implies that the state is considering not just leaving that up to cities, considering the housing crisis, the projected double the population in 40 years, people being priced out of the housing market already, a shortage of housing in general, arguments at the city level everywhere throughout the state about more high-dense housing, apartment buildings, condos, townhouses, and things like that. A lot of NIMBYism, but also a lot of cities saying, well, we want to plan this carefully, so we want to move slowly. The state then saying, we don't have the option to move slowly. Giving the state, about 2 years ago, giving cities a 5-year deadline on coming up with a master plan that includes up to 25% high-density housing. Every city is going to have to come up with a way to do that in the next 3 years. The question on the survey implies that the state is going to consider, at least via legislation, this legislative session that kicks off a week from tomorrow, doing it themselves. This would be a first in Utah, and I would imagine this would be extremely controversial to have the state basically saying, all right, X amount of zoning is going to be for this type of housing, X amount is going to be for commercial, X amount is going to be for high density, single family, all of that stuff. And we, the state, are going to decide where and how. 753-5868. Would you support this kind of thing? How would have you answered the question? Do you support the state getting involved in zoning issues normally left up to cities and sometimes county level discussions? Would you support the state legislature getting involved in order to more quickly deal with what is, we can all agree, a real housing crisis here in Utah? 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
It's John and Emily with Zero Res. January is a great time to get your carpets cleaned, especially with our biggest sale of the year.
If you've been waiting to give Zero Res a try, now is the time. Listen in and give us a call this coming Tuesday and Wednesday and get on the schedule in January.
This sale only happens once a year, so make sure you listen and call to take advantage of the amazing savings. Call Zero Res at 435-554-1050.
435-554-1050. Zero Res. Backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
UNI Furniture is excited to be going back to the furniture market in Las Vegas. After taking the last couple of years off, the furniture market is back on, and UNI is expecting to buy lots of inventory direct from the manufacturers. So in anticipation, UNI has gotten aggressive with their in-store discounts during their January clearance. Sofas, loves, chairs, sectionals, dining room, bedroom, and mattresses are all on sale. This January clearance features discounts on all home decor and accents too. It all adds up to just another reason there's always a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
Over 2.8 million Americans have served in our military since 9/11. Many have returned home with devastating injuries and few resources for them and their families. This is news correspondent Bob Woodruff. I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq in 2006. The military had my back that day, and they have each other's while serving. It's time we had theirs. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative. To learn more, go to gotyoursix.org using the number 6.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I want to mention this again. Tom Carter mentioned it at the start of the show, and we didn't plan this actually. But a press release just went out regarding some information. I didn't realize, Bill, that Tom was breaking news here on our show at the start of the show. Tom Carter, of course, energy advisor to Governor Cox and new executive director of the governor's Office of Energy Development. He mentioned during that interview at the top of the hour that they would be seeking public comment on rural energy projects. And by rural, I mean, to be honest with you, looking at some of the maps and descriptions just quickly through that break there, they're defining rural, I think, pretty well. So we're talking Box Elder, Cache, Rich, Emery, Garfield, Carbon, those counties, those types of counties. We're talking about actual rural. We're not talking about, the outskirts of Salt Lake County, where there are some rural areas. Same with Weber County. There's West Weber, if you've ever been out there, pretty rural, right? But it's part of Weber County.
Out near Hooper.
Hooper,
right?
yeah. Hooper and that weird flashing light on the hill that the military won't talk about. This is, they're considered, this is difficult. A little tangent on all this. Defining rural and urban is hard because Weber County is considered by the state for the most part urban. It's along the Wasatch Front, huge population.
Yeah, about 270,000.
Yeah.
Twice the population of Cache.
Yeah. And so that's fair to call it urban. And then also they're connected to the Wasatch Front and all those urban areas. But there's a large part of Weber County out there in the west that is still very rural, that looks a lot like Hiram and Wellsville, road-wise, traffic-wise, housing-wise. So, yeah, those communities sometimes get the short shift because they're in a urban county when these types of things come up. But we can't solve that here today. So, tangent over. This was announced, and again, I didn't know this was an announcement, but it was announced by Tom Carter on our show at the start of the show today that this website was going to be up and running. Press release went out just a few minutes ago announcing the launch of the website. So you actually literally heard it here first in hour one. The website, again, is energy.utah.gov/uready. And that stands for Utah Rural Economic Development Innovation. Utah Rural Energy Diversity Innovation. UREDI. So UREDI, get it? UREDI. Energy.utah.gov/UREDI. What they want is public comment on, well, as the name implies, public comment on rural energy projects. We were talking with Tom in hour one about this grant that Utah is likely to receive, hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government for energy diversity and innovation. And what that means is that's a fancy way of saying, look, if you've got communities that are struggling because coal is on its way out, I mean, that's literally what we're talking about here in most areas. Garfield County, for example, much of their economy was built off of mining, and it happened to be mining things that are there's no longer a huge market for. The Uinta Basin area is plagued by this a bit. They've got oil still that they can depend on for a backbone of the economy, but coal and other things like that are, the writing's on the wall. It's on its way out. And so Rocky Mountain Power announced the start of the fall, I think, they were going to be transitioning away from coal-fired power plants entirely in the next, 10 years. So the writing's on the wall, and that means these communities suddenly lose, in some cases, half their economy. In the case of Garfield County, I think it's even more than that. And Garfield County, if you remember a few years ago, reports that there weren't enough people still left in the county to form a functioning school district by the state's definition. So kids were going to be bused like 90 minutes to other schools outside the county. That could happen. And so these communities, as Tom said, these are generational families that have lived in places like Vernal, Utah, that are worried that they're going to have to uproot, sell the family farm and home, and move somewhere else just for work because the work is dwindling. The jobs are dwindling. This granting program through the federal government is meant to at least start addressing that directly by helping these communities transition into other things. And that can mean a lot of things. As Tom told us, it might mean a certain communities moves away from coal mining and into something related to natural gas. Or it could be, there were communities in West Virginia that the coal mine shut down, and now they make solar panels and actually have more jobs. There are opportunities for wind energy here in Utah that are currently underway. Tom said in hour one, this grant program is to help us get the transition rolling for these communities so they don't become ghost towns and instead have a new economy built on newer things, or different things rather, that can make a huge difference. So they're asking for public feedback on this. Again, the state hasn't gotten the grant yet, but we are in the top 60 out of hundreds of applications, which is a really good sign. And the rumor is that the federal government plans to, in the end, fund all of the top proposals, even though only a select few are going to get funding in this first round. There will be multiple rounds for the top 60, or at least that's what's implied. So Utah's probably going to get this money, and how we spend it is going to be key for not just the future of Utah's energy outlook and our energy economy here in the state, which is a big chunk of our statewide economy, but I think even more importantly, the future of these families and these communities that might be losing coal or might be seeing less viability for certain types of crops on a family farm, and they need to transition somehow. I mean, it's basically a choice of this, transition or move at a certain point. And the hope is, as Tom said in Hour 1, Energy Advisor to Governor Cox, the hope is through this grant and through other means, they can actually fund a transition that can keep people in their generational homes, in their communities they've known their whole lives, and that their grandmother and grandfather knew, and great-grandmother and grandfather in some cases, that they can stay, that they don't have to uproot, that we don't see ghost towns in certain parts of Utah suddenly where before there were 100,000 people. We can avoid all that by transitioning to different types of energy and different types of economy. So that's the hope with this, but if they get the grant, they have to start spending it almost immediately. And so, as Tom told us in Hour 1, they want public feedback on this, and he mentioned this website. And there are 2 public hearings you can attend in person, but they are down south. This Thursday in Price, Utah, and then Friday in Castledale, Utah. They're having 2-hour-long public hearings for those communities. And as Tom said, they plan some here in northern Utah soon, but no dates have been set. But you can give public feedback now. And like I say, I didn't realize Tom was breaking news here on the show, but then the press release went out. Communication director for the Utah Office of Energy Development, Harry Hansen, sent out a press release just minutes ago that announces the energy.utah.gov/uready website is now live. It wasn't in Hour 1. It is now, seeking public feedback in rural areas of the state on the future of energy development. There are a lot of ways that people in Cache Valley, if you're listening in Ridge County, Box Elder County, could really help to educate state leaders. Again, as this American Rescue Plan Act grant comes through, which it's likely to do, hundreds of millions of dollars the state would then have to spend with the goal of helping these communities transition to, and helping the state transition to different types of energy production, and more vibrant economies in areas where economies have suffered with coal on its way out. This is a big deal. So the website, again, it's UReady, which one more time stands for Utah Rural Energy Diversity Innovation. So the website, again, is UReady, energy.utah.gov/UReady, UREDI, energy.utah.gov/UReady. I've linked to it on our Facebook page if you'd like to find it there. But please, Cache Valley, weigh in on this. Box Elder County, Ridge County, if you're listening from those areas, weigh in. This isn't a big deal. And the trajectory set by this initial multi-$100 million grant from the federal government is going to basically set the trajectory of the next 10, 20 years of the economy and jobs when it comes to energy here in Utah. So check it out, energy.utah.gov/uready, link on our Facebook page, and we'll be back on the other side. We'll be talking with Liz Young. Liz Young started an app and a company called Realm to help homeowners. What she quickly found out was there were more resources out there than she had ever heard of, most homeowners had ever heard of. So she decided to start collecting them, pooling them together to save homeowners money and time. How she does it, though, is a story in and of itself. Liz Young, CEO and founder of a company called Realm, will be joining us right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:34. The news is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A weekend total of 24,147 new coronavirus infections were reported today by the Utah Department of Health, including 9,367 cases Friday, 8,663 new cases Saturday, and 6,413 on Sunday. In Cache, Box Elder, and Ridge rich counties, almost 1,000 new positive cases were documented over the last 3 days. School-aged children account for 3,849 of today's cases statewide, 16% of the total, including 20 new weekend COVID-19 deaths reported today. 3,907 Utahns have died from the virus over the course of the pandemic. 197 of them are in northern Utah. With 56,820 Utahns tested since Friday, more than 4.4 million people have been tested in Utah, and over 8.1 million total tests have been administered. As far as the new case count for northern Utah, then, it came out to 968 new COVID cases reported since Friday. The district's total case count since the pandemic started, 38,363. There are now 35,072 considered to be recovered. The Navajo Nation has reported 220 new confirmed COVID-19 cases, but no additional deaths related to the virus. Tribal officials say the number of confirmed cases on the vast reservation since the pandemic began now total 42,887 as of Saturday, including 45 delayed reported cases. The known death toll stands at 1,593. Tribal President Jonathan Nez says cases of the Omicron variant are much higher in border towns and cities located off the Navajo Nation. Nez also says that COVID-19 vaccines are highly effective in pushing back on the symptoms and reducing the chances of being hospitalized. The reservation covers 27,000 square miles and extends into parts of Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. And the state of Montana is increasing its base pay for seasonal firefighters to a minimum of $15.50 an hour to help recruit and retain highly qualified personnel. Firefighters will see a pay increase of $1.70 per hour. The governor's office and the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation say the pay increase will make Montana competitive with other fire protection agencies in the region. Last summer, federal firefighters received a raise to increase their minimum pay to $15 an hour. The governor of Montana and the director of the DNRC says longer fire seasons with more extreme fire behavior make having a full-staffed firefighting workforce a top priority. KBNU News Time is 5:37.
The colder weather is here. Are your quilts and blankets looking dingy? Is your winter coat or jacket dirty enough to stand in the corner just by itself? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It'll take no time at all to freshen up everything. They have the 55 and 80-pound washers, the biggest around, and great big dryers, too, and it costs a whole lot less than dry cleaning. Free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town, on the corner of 5th East, 9th North, and Logan, or in Brigham at 1st East, 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry.
KBNU weather, mostly cloudy tonight, haze through the night, patchy fog after midnight, low near 10. Partly cloudy on Tuesday, patchy fog in the morning, and hazy sunshine, high in the lower 30s. And really just a few clouds and haze, but no storminess over the next several days, clear on into the end of the week. 28 has been our high. It's 22 now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors. Expect specific guidance from advisors that adhere to principles of honesty, professionalism, and integrity. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com to schedule a time with an advisor today. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
2022 is here, and that means party time. The Cache Valley Fun Park is the funnest place in town. Let them handle your company events, family reunions, and all your birthday party needs. Rent the entire facility for a private party or reserve a party room for you and the crew. Bowling, axe throwing, laser tag, party food at the Island Cafe, and the best part of all is they do the work so you don't have to. The Cache Valley Fun Park, Cache Valley's family destination and group party headquarters.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes Priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
The first Wild Women's Clinic at Beaver Mountain will be held Wednesday, January 12th. Cost is $55 and includes lunch and a 2-hour ski or snowboard lesson. Space is limited, so you need to be registered by Monday, January 10th, online or at the Logan office or Mountain Snow Sports School. Go to skithebeav.com for all the information. Don't miss the first Wild Women's Clinic of the season at Beaver Mountain, January 12th. Come on up and ski the Beav.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel and Delta Vacations. Run away to the sunny beaches of Hawaii, Mexico, and the Caribbean with double discounts. You get a guaranteed air and hotel discount. Then we take that already discounted rate and drop it up to an additional $350 per booking. For the best travel deals on the planet, call Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Thermo Fisher Scientific, voted best place to work in northern Utah, is hiring. They're looking for manufacturing technicians, distribution, and warehouse positions across multiple shifts. Starting rate is $16 to $18.97 per hour, depending upon experience and shift. Incredible career opportunities are available. Help Thermo Fisher make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer. Visit jobs.thermofisher.com and search Logan. Thermo Fisher Scientific is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. In my morning reading, I ran across an article at one of my favorite online nerd journals, as my friends call them, TechCrunch. It was talking about an app and company called Realm. And as I got reading more, I was curious and more curious and more curious. And then it was one of those things where you see something that has been launched and is now having a successful run, and you kind of think to yourself, I can't believe no one thought of this before. What Realm does is, to put it simply, helps homeowners maximize the value of their property. But it gets more in-depth than that, from even recommending to you certain types of improvement over others based on current prices of, say, lumber or something like that, or the effect it can have on your overall home value. And the way the app functions is an interesting story in and of itself. But to start things out here, how did this all come to be? Well, joining us right now, we have with us CEO and founder of Realm, Liz Young. And Liz, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today. Tell us, if you can, the backstory on all this. How did Realm first pop into your head?
Hey, Jason, thanks so much for having me. And I like the nerd journal quote. Haven't heard that one, but I'm going to use that one for sure. Yeah, so, I've always been a real estate enthusiast. Even since I was a little kid, I remember being really fascinated by how the home was really in the center of most people's lives, because it's not only the memory center where you have times with your family, times with your friends, but it's also the financial center for most people. For the average American homeowner, the house that they live in, their primary residence, makes up 62% of their total assets.
Wow.
So they have way more money tied up in their house than they do in equities or bonds. So when I started to go throughout my career professionally, I started working for big technology companies in New York City, and I was predominantly working for companies that were trying to build data and insights for businesses and really help big businesses get ahead and make smarter decisions. And while I was doing that, I spent some time doing that for real estate specifically and building these big, powerful platforms to help professional real estate investors make better investment decisions. And while I was doing that, I kept taking a step back and just saying, wait, why doesn't the average person have access to data like this? With all of their money being tied up in their house, all of their memories being there. So I just became obsessed with it. And I was like, look, we got to figure out a way to democratize the types of insights that professionals have been using in real estate to get ahead for decades and decades, and get that in the hands of people like you, me, my parents, our friends. So that way, when they are making this massive decision, they can do so with confidence. They can know how much to spend on a kitchen renovation, or when they should refinance, or if they should keep investing in their existing home or move to a new one. So after a couple of years, I said, look, I got to do this. So we started it 2 years ago, and have been, really obsessing over how can we get this type of information into as many Americans' hands as possible.
That's what fascinates me about this, is that the information, well, not always, but for a long time, the information has been out there and available, but you had to be an industry insider or an expert in certain ways to actually get it and understand it. And now you've created, with the Realm app and the Realm service, you've created this service that takes all of this and literally can answer questions like, should I build that deck or should I wait a year?
Totally.
That fascinates me.
I think there's two other things that happen that, are worth calling out. So one is Americans started using technology and data to make other decisions over the last couple of years. So whether it's someone turning to, a Fitbit or a health app to figure out what to eat or how to exercise, or it's looking to, one of the many different types of online platforms to figure out what stock, equities to buy, people are using data and technology everywhere now. So that, definitely helps set the stage for Realm to exist. And then separately, on the more nerdy side, to use your comment from before, there's been a lot of big improvements in the world of data science that made doing Realm possible. And quite frankly, it just wouldn't have been possible if the data science technology wasn't there 10 to 15 years ago.
Sure. That's an important point, that we're now to the point where this can easily be done through technology. Yeah. But the potential for homeowners, it could not be overstated. And I should mention this quickly for listeners. If you want to check this out yourself, realmhome.com is the website, and you can also download the app directly through whatever app store you use on your respective phones. And I did so myself, and I kind of played around with this a little bit today. And Liz, it seems to me that something else that might come of this, as you have some time to run for a while. I know I found another article where you were able to say, through Realm users and the data that you had on who was doing what to improve their homes, you could spot certain trends too. Like an article I found that in Boston, everyone was working on interior home renovations, not exterior, and that seems useful too, to be able to say to homeowners, here's this trend we've noticed, and here's probably why that's a trend.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of really cool trend data, and we're still figuring out how to get that, how to best get that into homeowners' hands. But what we've learned, related to that, what we've learned is that most homeowners really care about three things. They care about what project, should they do next, which, has a lot actually that's involved with that question. You have to know how much project costs, what's allowed on a property, what the ROI is. They care about, second, what financial opportunities exist with their home. Is there a way for me to save money on my monthly mortgage? How much money could I pull out using a home loan product? How much could I sell or rent my house out for? And the third thing they care about is what are people or houses like me up to? So they want to know, hey, for similar priced homes, similar style homes, homeowners in a similar phase of life, like a millennial homeowner or someone about to retire, what are they doing to their house? Because it serves as both inspiration. It also gives them insights on what's possible with their own property. So we're working right now. Right now, you can make an account by going to realmhome.com and sign up for our insights. And we're actually just about to release our mobile app. It will be released in February, so hang tight for that. But in our mobile app release, we're going to include awesome trend data that actually breaks it down even to at your neighbor level. Like, here's what your neighbors are up to, which is pretty cool.
That also fascinated me as I entered some information at realmhome.com. It's not a lot of information you need. It wasn't anything super personal. It was just some basics. Yep. And then you were able to sort of divine a lot from that. Is this primarily because there is so much information out there, or is there something that you've learned in your decades of interest in real estate, home ownership, studying and collecting the data, reporting on it yourself? Is there something about this that I'm trying to think of the word right now? It seems almost amazing to me that with just a few data points, you were able to say, there's probably X amount of unrealized property value in your home. That fascinated me.
Yeah, it's crazy. The average home in the U.S. has about $175,000 of untapped potential. So there's a whole lot of untapped potential, and you can tap into that or access that through making different changes to your property. It could range from adding space to renovating or replacing a tired space. It does feel like magic a little bit. I'll say this is it's a lot of hard work too. So I don't want to downplay how the magic works, but I think when we think about data here at Realm, our goal is to understand everything that's happened to a property in the past. So we call it like the property's history. Then we need to understand the homeowner, what they care about, what their goals are. Because say you and I were in totally different situations in our life. Maybe you're about to have your second or third kid and I'm ready to retire. Even with the same property, we would want different things out of it. We would need different things.
Sure.
So I think what we've done a really nice job at is saying, okay, look, let's Realm be responsible for getting all of the information that we can do so without bugging the homeowner. And we've done a good job of that. So we have, before you ever make an account with Realm, we have several hundred, over 300 data points about your property before you tell us anything.
Sure.
So that gives us a really good foundation. Then we turn to the homeowner and say, hey, give us little tidbits, little insights that can help us really customize our recommendations, so that way they make sense for you in your life, because we acknowledge that you are different than your neighbor 3 houses down. And the combination of that lets us increasingly customize the things that we tell you and make it really suited for you and your home.
It's just fascinating to think of, taking all of these different data points. And as Liz mentioned there, all of this exists already. Information from tax assessments and assessor offices. Just one example of where you can learn a lot about a property and a property's value. And then just saying to homeowners, if you built something like this, or maybe don't build that, maybe hold off on that for a year because of this or that reason. It's fascinating to think, but it also makes sense. We know data can be used this way. And here you are through Realm actually kind of giving homeowners a bit more control over all of this.
Absolutely.
We're usually just told, right? Do this.
We learned this very early on. So, we're still a young company, but almost immediately we learned a couple of things that have really shaped how we work with homeowners today. So one of the first things we learned is people don't want Realm, us, to make decisions for them. They just want us to make it dead simple for them to make decisions. So we take that really seriously. We always present unbiased information. If we don't think something is a good idea, we tell you that, even if that would, make you spend more money in the future. We really value honesty and being this unbiased source for homeowners. Because when you look at what the options are before Realm, what does a homeowner do to navigate these complex and expensive decisions without Realm? The answer is they're cobbling together advice from these fragmented resources. They're Googling, which, at best gives you kind of local estimates. They're talking to friends who, although have good intention, don't always know what they're talking about. I'll say friends and family members. Or last is they're talking to professionals. So that could be an architect or a real estate agent, someone that is ultimately trying to sell them something in the home economy. So we take that really seriously and we say, hey, look, let's make sure we're this unbiased resource where we're putting the information into people's hands. It's often really complex and confusing, so we try to make it really easy to understand. But we say, hey, it's ultimately up to you to make the decision. We can only show you kind of the stats and the data.
That is fascinating stuff, and welcome, I think, for all homeowners out there. RealmHome.com, again, is the website. Keep an eye out for the mobile app coming in February. Yeah. And our guest, again, founder and CEO of Realm, Liz Young. And Liz, I've already taken more of your time than I asked for, but one last question for you. Here in Utah, legislative session, 45-day regular session kicks off in about a week. Housing policy, the housing crisis, as we've come to know it, is going to dominate the legislative session. It seems that there is an opportunity for a service like Realm to also inform public policy on housing and zoning policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Realm actually has built the largest zoning database in the United States, and we've done it in part of our vision and mission of really helping homeowners understand how to access this untapped value. And a lot of the untapped value in American homes is in underbuilt space. It's in properties that could add more square feet, can add an ADU, can add a grandma suite or an attached unit. So we take that really seriously. That's a big part of our data set. And if someone makes an account with Realm, they'll actually see how we call out if you're allowed to build an ADU, what size ADU you're allowed to build, how large of an addition you can add.
Wow.
So I think it's absolutely one, that we can help and inform. And I think for us, we get excited because it's really a positive, this idea of adding an ADU or adding extra space can be positive in multiple ways. So one, for the homeowner, it allows them an opportunity to live in their home, enjoy their home, but also start to generate rental income or accommodate a growing family, which is really exciting because there's not many ways that you can actually, utilize an asset but also make money off of it. And then two is it can create affordable housing opportunities and housing inventory that just wouldn't exist in these areas, that have like great school districts and all of these great amenities otherwise. So we love it for both the value it brings homeowners as well as the value it opens up for the community.
Just amazing stuff. Listeners, check it out. Again, it's realhome.com, the website. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. Mobile app coming in February. We'll be able to do this right on your mobile phone. But I entered some very simple data today and found out quite a bit. Also changed my mind about a couple of projects I had planned just from what I saw in a quick glance today. It was a lot of fun. And where this could go is just amazing. From our own homes and our own pocketbooks to public policy, planning for housing and more here in the state of Utah. It's really something to keep an eye on. Realmhome.com is the website again. And our guest has been CEO and founder of Realm, Liz Young. And Liz, really appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. Can't wait to see where this goes.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jason. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you for your time. And listeners, thank you for your time. Please stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise, and innocent victims are losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this nature, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, stop, call a cop.
Tuesday edition Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We're going to be breaking down the latest on Omicron and the craziness surrounding the vaccine mandate. We got a couple of awesome guests for that, Buck. They should be outstanding.
Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. He's running again, folks, and he's got some big thoughts on the Biden regime's failures. Plus, Alex Berenson, author of Pandemia, going to drop some COVID truth bombs. So you want to be in for that? Tune in today for Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Kids' lives have been put on hold. Getting them thriving again safely starts with protecting them from COVID-19 and dangerous new variants. Get the latest facts by speaking to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or by visiting getvaccineanswers.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Oh, man. Fascinating stuff. I love nerd stuff. I love technology. But this Realm service and the coming app just, it blows me away. I didn't mention this while we were speaking with CEO and founder Liz Young. It's free. I should have probably mentioned that during the interview. But yeah, this is a free service. Now, obviously, like any company, they're going to monetize the data they collect. They have to make money. We should all be used to that by now. But what the potential for this in understanding and crafting public policy is huge. The potential for homeowners is huge. This is going to be so fun to watch where this goes. And no disrespect at all intended to Realm or Liz Young herself, but obviously this is the first of what's probably going to be a slew of companies and apps like this. Now that Liz has kind of broken ground, they're going to be copycats and followers. And this is going to be really good for homeowners, I think. I'm excited to see this. I can't believe it's taken so long, actually, as Liz herself said. Check it out. RealmHome.com is the website. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this and hearing more about this in the future. Tomorrow on the program, we have a lot of food to talk about. We're talking about crumble cookies, and they're surprisingly short, but really notable history with international recognition now at this point. How did it all happen? Why did it all happen? We'll talk about that tomorrow on